Welcome to Tech Startup Stories, hosted by Natalie Binns. This is the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the B2B startup world.
Hi, I'm Natalie Binns, and after many years as a marketing leader in the B2B SaaS industry, I set up Hey Gabby to support startups and scale-ups with their go-to-market and growth needs. I work with so many great founders, and that's led me to want to hear their stories and share them with others. And that's why I set up this podcast. So let's get into this week's podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode. This week, I'm speaking with Michelle Coombs, and she is the CEO and founder of Oprising. And we recently met through a club that you're part of. I think that was how we got connected. But we also have lots of connections in common because you've been in the tech industry for a few years now, Michelle. Tell us about your career today.
Oh, hi, Natalie. And first of all, thanks for having me. So my career to date. So I started on a help desk back in the late 90s on a log and flog service, but we didn't have RMM or remote access tools back in the day. So it was a log and flog service. I used to hound the guys in the workshop to give me bits of kit so I could take it away and fix it up while I was answering the phones. Yeah, and then I went into a hands-on role through network engineer, systems admin, all the way through IT manager. And then I was sitting on both sides of the fence, both MSP side, managing the service desks and service delivery, and heading up IT teams.
So you're one of the OG women in tech, which I absolutely love. And I'm sure when you started out, there were very few women around you and in your organizations.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm trying to think of the first time I met them. It sounds terrible, doesn't it? Or met any. And I think it could have been when I went to Egypt and we had a SAP department. And there was a lady heading up SAP. So that would have been, bearing in mind, I started mid to late 90s without giving my age away. And I would have met her in about 2005. But I hadn't seen any females in tech before then. And I've seen few afterwards as well.
Really? So I guess from you're obviously being IT managers and other roles like that, you're in the deep sort of dark rooms of the IT function, as opposed to some of the people that have been on the more commercial side of tech like myself. So how do you think that's changed over time, not just for women, but in the industry in general?
Ah, good one. So I am seeing more of a mix of women, typically, like you say, in that business development, the commercial arms, the legal arms, the marketing arms, which is absolutely great. But I am slowly starting to see more women come through the technical side as well. So I host a Tech Tribe meetup in South Birmingham, and we've had our first lady come along. She's been along a few times now, but it's only been in this past year. She found us by accident, and she is like a Windows Server engineer. And I'm like, woohoo! But yeah, she is like the only one that I know of. All the others are the other ladies that I've seen there are process, great. An insurance lady, but accountants, they sit out there, HR sitting there. But there's very few technical women in that group.
Mm, mm. So obviously you've been in the industry, you set up your own MSP consultancy a few years ago, and then more recently set up Oprising. Tell us all about Oprising. What is it all about?
Uh, Effectively, or what it's intended to do is help MSPs optimize their service delivery and operations. So I was managing teams, 70 odd people, 24/7 ops, 10,000 plus tickets a month for round the sun kind of, around the globe, follow the sun kind of service desks. So you can imagine it can be pretty chaotic at times. And I was trying to find a way that I could help when I stepped back and I wanted to figure out my own career because obviously parents, I've got a young daughter who was sending me pictures saying, please don't forget me again. I was paying the childminder more than my electric bill and things like that. I was looking at what I could do. So obviously I set up the consultancy and I would help smaller MSPs improve their service, their delivery and how they operate. And I set myself this really crazy goal of helping 350,000 tech people by the end of 2032. And if you're working one-to-one with people, you can't scale that very easily. And I thought, how am I going to hit this goal? So I was looking for a way to make myself more efficient. And I had this idea that actually I do a full audit, and we're talking like, I'm not going to say the ISO numbers, because it's not accredited to ISO yet. That's one of my plans for the future. But we go really dive deep into how they operate. And so I thought, well, I'm forever filling this spreadsheet. There's a lot of actions that are coming up that are repetitive. So how can I make myself more efficient, but still allow for context dependent actions to be able to be put in? So, for example, if we're talking like about incident management, we know they've got to have a process. It's either to document, define and document, or review and update. And it's a continuous cycle. So I thought I can build something out and then use that to be able to help more people. And then thought, well, actually, they could do it themselves because I'm giving them all of the questions so they can audit themselves whenever they want. And a lot of the actions are there so they can get that consultant level knowledge. So I thought, right, build it. And then thought, what else can I put it in? So I've got a whole roadmap for the future. But yeah, anyway, that's how Oprising came to be. It was about trying to make myself more efficient and scale so I can help more people.
And so it almost sounds like a little bit of an accidental kind of leap into building a B2B tech startup. It came from your services business and a need to scale, which it's far easier to do that using tech than it is to train and coach lots of mini Michelle clones, so to speak.
So it's scary.
Or hire people. So it sounds like that's been the path, but by the sounds of it, this has become a bigger beast than it started out, with lots of great ideas and an amazing roadmap. What is your vision for Oprising now, given the journey that you've been on so far?
Apart from world domination, because that's just, and when I say world domination, I don't mean an evil world domination. I just mean I want to take over a good portion of the market share, and have it as a enterprise software of choice, where people who are looking to improve their services can go, and it's one of the things that they think about. So there's a lot of education as well with it in terms of the continual service improvement. So I like to keep my hand in there. But yes, I really want it to grow because the more it grows, the more people it helps. And yeah, I think that's my key underlying value, is that whatever I do, it has to help somebody in tech.
I really love that, because I think you've been in the industry long enough to understand that, it's a cutthroat industry. Sometimes it's a bit of a dog eat dog world out there. So it's very refreshing to come across founders that really care about helping people and making a difference, not just how much money can I make, or, how how much money can I get from investors to spend, so
That's
that's great.
That's it. Yeah. It is very much a purpose led. It's got to be able to help. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. It's going to be exciting times anyway.
So I know that you have a really solid network. What are you doing to kind of gather more insights and kind of learn more about other aspects of running a tech business? Because obviously we know that you're super strong on the technical side, but there's so many different hats to wear as a founder.
That is tough, and I think sometimes I need to remind myself. So I look up to like the founders of Halo, for example, where they've got this vision of not selling for 10 years. They take on from graduate and educate up and train their staff, and they've got some really good initiatives in place. For me, I've taken some serious time to understand where my weaknesses are. So for me, that's things like sales and marketing. They are my least favorite activities. I used to say they're absolutely horrible. I used to swear about them, but I thought if I keep telling myself that, then it's always going to be that way. So at the moment, they are my weakness, which I've got to actively engage, actively learn and develop. But at the same time, I know that you need to surround yourself with the right people. So looking for those experts in the marketing, the sales, the finance, all those areas that I'm weak on, I need to find the right resources to help me on that route. And then obviously as I grow and take on staff and build out this team to be able to support people around the globe, then it'll be the right people in the right roles all the way.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that you've mentioned is, there's areas in most individuals where there's weaknesses or areas that there's other expertise out there that you can lean into. But you obviously have a really strong network. So finding your ICP or your ideal customer profile shouldn't be too much of a challenge. It's a case of balancing the time and networking to engage these individuals. Am I right?
Absolutely. And for me, it wasn't hard choosing the ICP either, because for me, it's like being home. It's like family. So it's like, I think I was watching some animated GIF or something the other day on LinkedIn showing how people have spent their time from like the 1920s through to the current, 1920s, not the 20s because we're in them. But over that period of 100 years, where people spend their time. It used to be family, and then it used to be work and all the rest of it. And it's very much shifted. But for me, it is literally like family time, but it's a chosen family rather than an enforced family. I still have my enforced family as well, but you see where I'm coming from on that. So I don't think I'd ever work in any other industry at all. It would either be, it's got to be IT through and through. Let's just leave it at that.
Great. And so let's take us back to before when you set up the Tech Leader Network. You were working in full-time employment, you've worked for companies over the years. What made you take the leap to set up your own business?
I think I touched on it. So which is, as I said, I'm a single parent. Or a solo parent, however it works, whichever way you want to phrase it. I have a daughter, and yeah. So various stories. When she was really small, like literally 2 years old, she used to sleep on a server room floor in a bed of lost property. When I'd be on the phone to Microsoft, so that was the start of it. So she knows no different apart from mum's got to work. She sees the strong work ethic. She's now got herself a part-time job and all the rest of it. So it's worked out well. But then it got to a point where I was traveling an awful lot and doing overnight stays. And my family are all an hour and a half away from me. So I had to find a childminder that would keep her overnight. And literally, I always spend fortune. But yeah, sometimes I can get very focused on my work. So I would get sent the photos of "Please don't forget me again," or I'd drop her off at the school gates. She'd go in, and then I'd be like halfway to work. It'd be like, "Oh, it's like school's closed today." And I'd have to turn around and go and fetch her and stuff like that. So I knew something had to change because obviously I've got responsibilities as well. So balancing the two was very interesting.
It's tough. I think whether you're a solo single parent like yourself or whether you have a good support network, it's challenging being a parent and running your own business. And I think particularly for women, the stereotypes that we probably feel the guilt more. There's definitely mum guilt for being away from the kids. We love our careers. We're excited and engaged by our work. We love our kids too, and I think it can be a real balance and a challenge in doing that. And I don't think you're the only person out there that has experienced those kind of things. So, with that, you went into building your own business, creating a better work-life balance, creating more time for your daughter. What has that? No, she says, shaking her head.
No, no, it is so much of work-life
You're
balance.
just there. You're just not traveling as much.
Exactly. I at least work from home most of the time now, so I'm at least present or in the same building, shall we say. And she can come talk anytime now, and she just like sits there. I've had her helping out with all kinds of like admin tasks and things, but it's so good. It's an extra pair of hands.
Absolutely. You got to get her doing the sales and
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah. Oh, she did do this whole Canva thing a while ago, and it was okay, and it covered for a bit, but I had to do something else after that because I think she was only about 12 at the time, 13. It was like, Maya, here's some images. Here's a logo. Go and do something with these. There's a template. Off you go. That was it. That was it. So yeah.
So going back to your Oprising business, so you had the idea You knew what you wanted to do. You knew why you wanted to do it. How did you balance time with your services business to building your platform and, creating something that effectively is going to help you in the future as well as others? But, if you're busy running one business, how did you kind of balance the other?
Yeah, so I'm quite lucky in a way that I don't need have many clients on the consultancy side. One for capacity, and two because I just choose not to be working all day every day. But you're absolutely correct. So when I was setting up Oprising and building out the requirements and working with developers and project managing that through, it was very, very time consuming. So what I would do is I would speak with clients. I'd get clients in the US and Australia to be able to put those either side of the working day, deal with Uprising on the 9 to 5, as it were, and then overseas clients outside of that. So it worked quite well.
Good work-life balance there. And at some point you ate and slept, I would hope.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I don't mean it was like 24/7, although I've done like the occasional client call at like 1 a.m. because of the time zone difference. But I do now get that flexibility so that if I wanted to just do something different on a Tuesday, for example, I can just say, do you know what, my calendar's quiet. I'm going to go and do something I enjoy. So, and I'm now the build is over. I can like chill a little bit. When I say the
Indeed.
build's over, it's over for now before we start roadmap item.
Okay, so you've done your first iteration, you've got your MSP, and you're already working with prospects and customers. What's been the kind of response that you've had from your network on the product?
It's been quite good because I've like floated it in front of um some guys that I've worked with from a previous MSP and says, how does this work and all the rest of it? How do you feel it goes? And it's like absolutely awesome. This would be great for our MSP, etc. And then I also put it against some of the smaller MSPs, and for them it could have been overwhelming because in there's something like 380 odd questions that we go through, and then 1,400 odd actions that are already pre-built in. Now, they don't have to do all of them, but they could easily get themselves overwhelmed. So it helped me refine that target market. So it says, I actively don't want them where they're under like 15 people because it would overwhelm in its current iteration until we bring in like a good, better, best. And in the good, it's cut down a bit.
A
So
light
it's more
version.
relevant, a light
Yeah.
version for them. So for now, I'm going to keep those guys in mind, and I've got plenty of ways that we can help them anyway. So it's not like I'm saying I'm not going to help them. I would always find a way to help in some way, shape, or form. But yes, actively doing that. And what I've started doing as well is, and I'll continue with this because I think it's really, really good, is running quarterly 90-day accelerators. So people come in, they get like a white gloved approach. I help them through it. And in return, I get feedback. There's no cost to them, but I get the feedback and the testimonials, which will help with that marketing journey as well as being able to identify any bugs. Because when you get close to it, you become a bit blind. You know, like when you're writing a document, you become word blind and stuff like that. It's very much the same with the platform because you find your little workarounds and that's the way it is. But I need other people to like pick it apart and say, Michelle, I found this. And I will add it to the log of things that we need to deal with. So that's what I'm doing. And I think it's just a good way of helping people again. But yes, it's that 3 month stint where they get actively involved in it, provide the feedback, they can test the new features that come in and all of that kind of stuff.
And with that, obviously you've done lots of conversations with prospects, you've floated the ideas, you've been testing it. What kind of approach have you had to kind of troubleshooting for bugs and things like that?
Where it's a bug, obviously somebody will report it. I then go away and investigate, do a recording, and get it over to the dev team, and then they go away and fix it.
Mm.
That simple like that. Unless it's something like that is, if it's a re-engineering piece, like for example, when I spoke about the guys that were too small, it was overwhelming. I tried to find a way of adding in a button. It didn't create the audit assessment, but they could just use it to log their own CSI or continual service improvement initiatives in, so they've got somewhere to track it. But that would have meant re-engineering what we'd already built. I'm like, do you know what? We're going to leave that for a future date. So we're going to re-attack that bit of code. But for now, that's how it goes. So if it's a quick win, an easy job, we get it done. If it's got to be added to the roadmap for some more thinking time and reorg and re-engineer, be waiting a while.
So you're very comfortable on the technical side, obviously being very hands-on, making sure that the product does exactly what it's supposed to do. I know that you've mentioned some challenges on the sort of sales and marketing side. Is it a self-serve product? And do you have plans to run a product-led strategy on the go-to-market side?
Absolutely. So, with the whole intention of being scalable, I don't want to be involved when people can serve themselves. It cuts out consultant costs as well. So, at the moment, the only glitch that I have in my whole of my process, as I see it at the moment, is they sign up, which is great. They go through the payment process. And then I have to go and manually create because I've not got that integration quite right yet. But as I'm not going out for massive volume at the moment, it's still manageable. But it's definitely on the thing that I need to fix, preferably by the end of 25.
Great. And so I guess you've been doing this a while. If you were to kind of look back and speak to Michelle from, 10, 15 years ago, would you have ever have thought that you would be a tech founder?
No. No, I had dreams of being a CTO.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to do because that, in my mind, back then was the natural career progression. And then it got, oh my God, it would have been about 2017-ish. And I realized that actually the title doesn't matter. It's how you leave your people feeling was that kind of thing. And the impact you can make. And it wasn't about a title. So now, you mentioned earlier CEO and founder. I don't even call that. So at Company's House, it's just director. So anybody says, "What are you?" I go, "I'm just the director. I just do my own thing." And the title does not matter to me anymore. But that was what it was years ago. I really wanted to be. It was for like NASA or ESA, or it would have been like GCHQ or something like that. That was my dream, but obviously not now.
I think it's a really solid dream, though, to be a CTO, especially now that you're a founder. And as much as you don't consider yourself, having a big title and you don't care about that as much, you are a founder, you are building a tech startup, you're running a very successful consultancy as well, and you're being a successful parent, whether you would agree with it or not. Your child is still very safe, doing well, and alive. You know. Setting the bar high there. But at the end of the day, to be doing all of those things is huge achievements. And I think, as you can continue this journey, it's only going to, get better and give you more scope to continue to reach your goals, which have now shifted more towards helping people, which I think is very admirable.
Well, thank you. But there's this interesting trait that I have, and I think it's linked to like ADHD or some neurospiciness, where you don't recognize your own achievements, and it's almost like a what's next kind of thing, which is very interesting because we don't. You made me feel quite. I don't know what the word is inside. I feel a bit inside now. Thanks, Natalie. Gonna take the please. Yeah, yeah, that didn't register in my head, but thank you.
Well, I think as women, we're not used to being recognized for great achievements. If you look generally across the industry, so many female founders that I speak to talk about the struggle, talk about how hard it is to get funding, how hard it is to get a seat at the table, to be taken seriously, all of these things. And I think we're just accepting of, we have to work harder, we have to give more, and our standards need to be higher for us to be considered amongst our peers on the male side. So it's not surprising that you have that kind of feeling of, well, I'm not sure that I'm that great or that I've made it, or all these things. But I think we have to really appreciate all of the achievements that we've done so far and will continue to do. And that just shows you as a great role model, not just to other female founders, but also to your daughter.
Poor child. I feel sorry for her if I'm her role model.
So, do you spend any time networking with other women in the industry, other founders in general?
It's been my homework actually. That was it. I think it was the female, the 51% club.
51%
What it
club.
was is I hadn't, and then I was in a room talking about Oprising, typical middle-aged white men around the room. And then there was a lady there, and she says, "I think you should network with more women in tech." And that was my homework to take away. And that was how I ended up in the 51% club, which is where I think I met you. And
Yes.
there was a post from somebody saying, "Oh, Natalie's looking for you to talk to."
Indeed, absolutely. And it is really my goal to speak to as many founders as possible and to talk about the realities of building a startup. And, not everybody has the traditional journey of, having an idea and then finding some funding or finding a co-founder. And I think your journey is particularly unique. So are you completely self-funded or have you gone out to get some funding for the business?
I think I need to flag in there actually. Um, there's a mix of self-funding, and I was lucky enough to get accepted onto a Great Things program, which provided 10K's worth of funding as well, which is for West Midlands based people who are looking to create a tech product. So they actually helped out with 10K, which was absolutely awesome.
Great. And so with that extra funding, what did that do for your business overall? How did that help you?
So that enabled me to build my MVP, because I had other commitments on the go, as you can imagine. I've already said that I don't need many consultancy clients. So I'd already started with the business analysis and developing those requirements out for Oprising. And then I went out to look for quotes to actually build with the developers. And I was getting quotes anywhere from like 20 to 80K. And then I met a man that helped from Greater Things. I was sat in the NatWest Accelerator. I turned my head over and I saw this tech for non-tech thing. I thought, what's that all about? And so I says, what do you do? And he goes, what do you do? So I told him what I was working on and who I was. And he says, oh, you should apply to this Greater Things program that I've got going. Deadline's in 2 days, 10 grand of funding. And so I applied. They helped out and it helped me build my MVP.
Amazing. That's fantastic. And do you think that's something that you're going to continue on with as a bootstrapped organization with that level of funding? Or do you think in the future you'll look for additional funding, perhaps angel investment or seed?
I think I will be looking for funding at some point. When exactly that'll fall, I'm not entirely certain. But I know that I'll need to do that at some point because world domination is not something I'm going to be able to do while I'm running both businesses and trying to grow them and bring in staff and do marketing campaigns and do events and everything else that I've got on my plan. And I probably will need to go out for some investment at some point.
Indeed, indeed. And so, if you were to give advice to other founders that, they're perhaps employed at the moment, or they've been thinking about starting their own business, or perhaps just starting out, what advice would you give to those founders?
So if you're building a software platform, first thing I would suggest is you get a really nailed down scope of works and what you're looking to achieve out of the build, and keep it MVP style. So build fast, fail fast, and reiterate. That would be my first piece. Have it well documented so you developers know exactly what you want them to deliver. Quick and dirty will do. But have a go, enjoy it, have fun. It's your life, just enjoy it in whichever way you want.
I love that. Great. Well, thank you so much for your time, Michelle. I really appreciate your time today and enjoyed hearing your story. Would you come back and talk to us next year and give us an update as to how things are going with Uprising?
Absolutely. You've caught me really early doors, so Let's put it this way, it can't go worse. It can only get better. So it's going to be absolutely awesome by the time we next speak.
I'm sure it will be. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Tech Startup Stories. Have a story you'd like us to share or a topic you'd want to cover? Reach out and we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care.